I'm Ethan Miller, and yeah, I'm a trust fund kid. Don't get me wrong, I'm not some brooding, mysterious billionaire from a bad romance novel. No sports cars, no clubbing. My biggest thrill in life is chilling at home, building Legos. But ever since I turned 25 last month, my mom's been looking at me like I'm a clearance shelf yogurt with an expiration date ticking down. If they don't move me fast, I'm going to be unsellable. Ethan, honey, Aunt Carol set you up. She's got a master's from overseas. Tomorrow, 3 p.m., the Cloud Coffee House. My mom slammed a photo onto my freshly built Hogwarts castle. Crack, win Aspire. I stared at the perfectly made-up girl in the picture. Her smile was practiced like a bank teller's. Mom, this woman has murder in her eyes. Murder my ass. She works in investment banking. That's called executive presence. My mom smacked the back of my head. You keep being picky, and by Christmas, I'll have your dad put you on toilet duty at his company. For my first blind date, I showed up in a wrinkly flannel shirt and deliberately didn't shave. Not out of rebellion, but my old college roommate, Mike, swore girls nowadays love the down-on-his-luck gentry vibe. Makes you seem approachable. The moment I pushed open the coffee shop door, I heard a server whisper, "Is that guy in PJs just here to use the bathroom?" My date was Vanessa. She was even more intense in person than in her picture. I'd barely sat down when her phone dinged, blasting a voice message at full volume. Vanessa, honey, mister. Sterling from last week, the one with the Maybach, he asked you out again. Vanessa gave me a tight, fake smile. Oh, Ethan, please don't mind. My assistant is so clueless. I silently pushed the $12 latte on the table closer to her. Maybe you should take that. My second blind date was even wilder. The woman was a drama teacher at a performing arts academy, dressed in a simple white silk dress. Her voice had this operatic vibrato the moment she opened her mouth. Oh, mister. Miller, do you often read Phantom of the Opera? I swallowed hard. Phantom? No, but I've read A Gardener's Guide to Peonies. Her face dropped, and she dramatically flung out her sleeve, launching into an aria from some forgotten play. The server froze mid-tiramisu delivery, and the manager almost called security, convinced she was staging a cult ritual. The third blind date ended up on a local news expose. She was a TikTok influencer. The moment she sat down, she whipped out a ring light and a selfie stick. Hey fam, look, this is my future husband. He might look like a sleepy sloth, but his family's toilets are plated in gold. I practically tripped over 3 chairs fleeing the scene. The video clip instantly went viral that night. Trust fund air bails on blind date, stiffing bill. My dad was so furious, he froze my credit cards. Embarrassing. Well, I pursued your mother. I brought her a cart full of pumpkins. By the fourth blind date, I was completely checked out. I stumbled into the private room of the upscale tea house, my hair a bird's nest, only to find a girl in a denim jacket squatting on a chair, gnawing on spicy chicken wings. When she saw me, she frantically tried to hide her snacks, wiping her greasy fingers on the curtain. So, the matchmaker said you liked wild and untamed? I stared at the sauce stain on the curtain, and suddenly I burst out laughing. This time, it felt different. As I stared at that sauce stain, I suddenly thought, this girl has a huge sign stamped on her forehead. Do not mess with me. I'm Skylar Chung, she said, hopping off the chair, her denim jacket wafting a faint scent of spices. Matchmaker said your family's in real estate? What a coincidence. I specialize in sticking up flyers. I almost choked on my spit. That's still a job. You bet it is. She pulled a crumpled flyer from her pocket. Plumbing services, fake IDs, find a sugar daddy. Hey, don't dodge. These are my client leads. A server came in to refill our tea, saw Skylar demonstrating how to retrieve a wedding ring from a septic tank with 2 chopsticks, and quietly swapped my green tea for an iced Americano. I suspected she was putting on a show for me. When Skylar spit a chicken wing bone into the potted plant for the 5th time, I finally couldn't take it anymore. Ms. Chung, isn't your blind date etiquette a little wild? She paused for 3 seconds, then suddenly pulled out her phone and swiped. Look at this. The screen showed a video of her battling an old lady for discounted eggs at a farmer's market. Her hair, a frizzy mess like a poodle, wielding half a hot dog as a weapon. Shot last month, 200,000 views, she announced, shaking her phone proudly. Now I've got companies lining up to sponsor me from here to France, but I won't do it. Know why? I stared at the greasy corners of her mouth. Because France is too far. Because the clients always want me to be some glamorous goddess. She slapped the fancy antique coffee table, making the decorative tea pet topple over. They want me to hold a wine glass and talk about steak doneness? Please. My fans want to see me squatting on the curb, slurping spicy ramen. I suddenly felt a bit like a monkey being fed by tourists at the zoo. The turning point came without warning. Skylar took a call, her face suddenly pale. What? Mrs. Davis got picked up by code enforcement. She grabbed her jacket and bolted for the door, then turned back, shoving a bag of barbecue chicken wings into my hand. A gift. If your family needs any ad space on your elevators, you know who to call. I stood at the tea house entrance, watching her pink electric scooter swerve erratically into rush hour traffic. The loudspeaker strapped to the back was still blaring on a loop. Professional locksmith, fingerprint locks, keypad locks, the lock to your first love's heart. That night, I was pulled into a mysterious group chat. The group name was Street Hustle Crew. Besides me and Skylar, there was someone called Boomer Frank. Skylar sent a voice message. Ethan, I heard your family's mall has spaces for rent. I'll help you conquer the night market scene. I clicked on her attached street food business plan. The cover in cheesy word art declared, going public in 3 years, taking down Chipotle, and putting Starbucks out of business. My dad's call suddenly cut in. You good for nothing. Dating the queen of the grease pit? My reputation. I quietly sent him a screenshot of Skylar live-streaming herself eating barbecue pork ribs. 5 minutes later, the old man replied with a voice message. The background noise clearly showed him stifling a laugh. You know, your grandma used to sell dumplings from a pushcart, too. At the weekend investor meeting, I saw a surprisingly polished Skylar. She was wearing 10-centimeter heels, her briefcase emblazoned with bargain bin. Come, everything's $9.99 and free shipping. She spoke in perfect, PowerPoint-ready English. Mr. Miller, our street cred brand is all about disrupting the market, leveraging a powerful influencer network to revitalize traditional brick-and-mortar businesses. A message under the table. Speak English. She instantly replied. Help me get a booth in the mall, and I'll treat you to spicy ramen for 3 years. Mr. Miller, what do you think? She winked at me, her fake eyelashes fluttering like a dragonfly before a storm. I looked at the chili flakes on her suit jacket cuff and suddenly remembered the cracked spire on my Hogwarts castle. Deal. Skylar said she wanted to create a street food festival in the mall. I expected breakfast burritos and gourmet donuts. But on opening day, the entire building smelled like a biohazard lab. The woman had set up a spicy ramen stand right outside the Chanel boutique. This is the exact vibe we need, she yelled through a gas mask, directing workers to move barrels of pickled daikon. Luxury brands and stinky blue cheese in the same frame. Total viral content. The Chanel sales associate was practically bathing herself in perfume, sobbing about quitting and moving back home to teach kindergarten. Boomer Frank made his entrance. This guy looked like a hulking brute from a comic book. He offered me a cigarette the moment we met. Mr. Miller, back in the day, I used to tear down illegal structures in the market district. 30 seconds, I could clear 3 stalls. Skylar kicked his shin. I hired you to renovate, not demolish. That's when I noticed his toolbox contained a hacksaw and a power drill, with a worn copy of the penal code shoved underneath. The day before opening, disaster struck. I was fine-tuning the kitsch neon sign Skylar had designed when Frank suddenly crawled out of ventilation shaft. Mr. Miller, turning the fire hydrant into a craft beer dispenser would be a total hit. You mess with the fire system. My voice cracked. That's a felony. Before I could finish, a green mist suddenly exploded above our heads. Skylar's spicy ramen pressure cooker had apparently marinated the sprinkler system. As the alarm blared through the mall, I wiped pickled peppers from my face and saw Skylar, holding a selfie stick, live streaming. Hey fam, this is the cyberpunk vibe we're going for. My dad, with 8 furious board members in tow, stormed the scene. The old man stomped across a floor littered with pickled daikon, his finger practically poking my forehead. The Miller family has been in business for 3 generations, and we've never been this humiliated. Dad, this is called an immersive experience. Immersive, my ass. Chanel corporate called asking if we'd rebranded to sell pickles. Skylar suddenly emerged from the fire exit, her hair covered in broth residue. Uncle, give me 3 days. If our sales don't beat Westfield Mall across the street, I'll live stream myself eating a ghost pepper. Her phone screen glowed, her live stream audience of 30,000 simultaneously typing LOL. That night, I was forced to sign a binding agreement. The family group chat blew up with 20-plus 60-second voice messages. Uncle Gus even busted out his old regional accent, practically singing his insults. Skylar squatted on the fire escape, munching on spicy chicken wings. What are you panicking about? I've got a secret weapon. She pulled out an old flip phone. Her contacts list was full of alarming names. Queen of the Tacos, the Donut Night, Madam Stinky Cheese. Tomorrow, I'm calling all the street food kingpins in the city, she said, her eyes glowing eerily in the green light of the exit sign. Let's show them what real pros look like. The next day, I witnessed the underground. 30 food trucks formed an impenetrable wall around the mall, the sizzling of grilled squid deafening. Skylar stood on a stage made from a modified excavator, hyping the crowd. Bubble tea in one hand, skewers in the other, King's Feast for just $9. The cleaning lady was waving her power washer like a glow stick, and the Chanel sales associate was secretly adding caviar to her breakfast burrito. My dad, watching from the security office, twitched at the corner of his mouth. Your grandma. She used to haggle with people holding her old butcher's scale, just like that. I suddenly noticed the old man gripping a half-eaten soft pretzel in his hand. The turning point arrived an hour before closing. Skylar was teaching the security guard the hot dog dance when the alarm blared again. Code enforcement. The queen of the tacos shrieked. The stalls instantly transformed like something out of Transformers. The breakfast sandwich cart sprouted 4 mechanical legs. The ramen noodle stand's canopy retracted into a sun umbrella. I watched, dumbfounded, as Skylar pressed a remote. I've been modifying this for 3 months, just for this day. Outside the glass doors, Chief Dave Chang's face turned green, then red under the neon lights. The moment Chief Dave Chung took off his cap, the remote in Skylar's hand dropped into the stew pot with a plop. Skylar. Veins popped out on his neck. 3 years ago, you said you were getting your MBA, and you ended up with a degree in street food entrepreneurship? I cowered behind the taco truck, peeking out. These two looked like carbon copies. Even the way their nostrils flared when they were angry was identical. The queen of the night market, who was dominating just 10 minutes ago, was now clutching me as a human shield. Dave Chung, let me explain. This trust fund kid at the mall insisted on some kind of rural revitalization. Bullshit. You had that exact same look on your face when you stuffed stinky blue cheese in my backpack in middle school. The hot dog machine let out a pathetic sizzle, and I could practically see my hopes of getting my credit cards unfrozen crisping with it. The mediation took place at Starbucks. Dave Chang's uniform and Skylar's Crocs made a stark contrast. I held my matcha frappuccino, playing the role of the jury. 1st and 15th of every month, surprise inspections, Dave Chung said, slapping his notebook on the table. Don't think I won't recognize Aunt Martha's breakfast burrito cart just because it's a transformer now. Skylar suddenly pulled out her phone. Cousin, that video of you in high school, dancing in a dress. You wouldn't dare? Give me 6 months to fix things up. 3 months. Deal. I slurped my melted whipped cream, feeling like I was watching a haggling session at a farmer's market. The fire system renovation still went wrong. The day after Frank converted a fire hydrant into a craft beer dispenser, the cleaning lady accidentally triggered the switch. The prime location LV boutique received a beer bath, its latest handbags waltzing in IPA foam. Skylar live-streamed while trying to rescue waterlogged alligator skin wallets. Hey folks, look at this texture, this pattern. Limited edition, beer marinated. My dad in the security office pinched the bridge of his nose. This spendthrift. The CFO quietly informed him, Chairman, 20 water-age bags just sold on the live stream. A family secret surfaced. Grandma Rose dragged me into the old family den late at night. Behind the antique Buddha statue, a rusty old dumpling cart was hidden. During the '58 famine, this cart is how I put your dad through school, she said, touching the faded red paint. Back then, code enforcement was called the City Management Committee, and they chased me all over town. My phone suddenly vibrated. Skylar had sent me a design sketch. she'd drawn the dumpling cart as a spaceship with a note. Family heirloom plus metaverse. IPO valuation multiplied by 10. The turning point came faster than takeout. I was working on a PowerPoint for Skylar's cyber dumpling project when an explosion rocked the top floor. Frank's modified automatic barbecue skewer machine had caught fire, 30 lamb skewers spinning and jumping under the fire sprinklers. When Dave Chang's fire truck blocked the mall entrance, Skylar was already zooming around on an electric scooter, spraying extinguishers everywhere. Hey fam, hit that follow button, now demonstrating bare-handed fire-grilled steak. I looked at her soot-stained face and suddenly realized that knockoff Gucci t-shirt she'd bought online actually looked pretty good in the firelight. 3 a.m., the ER. Skylar was hooked up to an 4, munching on spicy beef jerky. Damn, I haven't cashed out my live stream donations yet. I tucked her blanket in, noticing the duvet cover was emblazoned with Community General Hospital. This woman even monetized her hospital stay. Ethan, she suddenly said, turning serious, if the mall really tanks, would you come set up a street stall with me? A nurse pushed the door open to change her 4, her cart holding my medical report. Minor burns, advised rest. I pointed to the old flip phone peeking out of her bag. Can you connect me with that sugar daddy client first? While Skylar, with a cast on her arm, live-streamed herself eating seafood, I was cornered in the VIP room by 8 antique collectors. Mr. Miller, this dumpling cart is from the late 19th century. A bald expert held a magnifying glass to the copper pot. Look at that patina, those rivets. I silently pulled out Grandma Rose's old ledger. On the yellowed pages, a rough sketch of a pig was clearly drawn. 1973, 2 bowls of dumplings for Butcher Lou, traded for half a pound of tripe. The news that the mall was going under spread faster than gossip. Rival Henderson Holdings put up ads on their building overnight. Acquisition countdown. 50% off everything. Owner ran off with his sister-in-law. Skylar, in a wheelchair, stormed into the leasing office, slamming her prosthetic leg, some toy superhero, transforming gadget, onto the conference table. Give me 3 days, and I'll make that jerk cry for his mommy. The CFO quietly reminded her, Ms. Chung, that's your online-ordered Ultraman toy. On the day of the dumpling card auction, Skylar transformed the old family den into a live stream studio, with a QR code for payments around the neck of Grandma's antique Buddha statue. Hey fam, this is the starting point of a business miracle. She waved a slotted spoon. My grandma used this to scoop up a publicly traded company back in the day. The comment section was flooded with gift emojis. An ID called Henderson from Henderson Holdings suddenly commented, "Fake. I'll pay double to have it authenticated." I squatted behind the electrical panel, watching Skylar signal Frank. The climax hit harder than a sudden stomach flu. When the bald expert bid $3 million, the ceiling suddenly ripped open. Grandma Rose descended from the ceiling on a wire, clutching 2 dumpling wrappers in her hands. Hold on, everyone. This cart was mortgaged to my old man ages ago. Flashbulbs popped everywhere. I watched, wide-eyed, as the bamboo legs of the cart suddenly sprouted 4 wheels, carrying Grandma in a drift across the auction floor. Skylar had secretly installed an electric motor last night. Henderson Holdings played dirty. The next day, headlines screamed, "Shocker. Century-old eatery using feet to make dumpling wrappers," with a Photoshop picture of Skylar scratching her foot. My dad's blood pressure shot up. Lying in his hospital bed, he barked orders at me. Go to the farmer's market and hire 30 seniors, specifically the ones good at dramatic wailing. Skylar bit the elastic band in her hair. No need. I'm meeting Henderson for hot pot tonight. The hot pot restaurant turned into a battleground. Henderson tripped over a puddle of old balsamic vinegar Skylar had spilled just inside the entrance, landing squarely on his backside. "Mr. Henderson, I heard your ancestors were waste collectors," Skylar said, blanching some tripe. "What a coincidence. This cart of mine has marinated sauerkraut and soaked feet. A perfect match for you." I watched her stick a bugging device in the shrimp paste and suddenly thought of Vanessa from my first blind date. Why were all these women so into espionage? The twist came at 2 a.m. Skylar's TikTok updated with a new video. Henderson completely drunk, hugging the dumpling cart and singing some cheesy pop song. The voiceover was a recording of him bragging about how he cooked the books. Henderson Holdings' stock plummeted at market open. My dad, in his hospital room, was frantically buying up shares on his tablet, yelling, "Fall more." I never lost money buying the dip back in my day, as a nurse did her rounds. The victory celebration was held at the night market. Skylar, with her cast off, was breakdancing, sequins from her knockoff Chanel jacket scattering everywhere. "Ethan, know why I picked you?" She suddenly hooked her arm around my neck. Those elite guys would wrinkle their noses when they saw me slurp ramen. But you... My heart suddenly raced to 180 beats per minute. "You'd share half your grilled chives with me." Frank walked past, carrying his modified sound system, blasting those few seconds of flirtation, just like love. The ambulance was back again. This time, Skylar had passed out after eating insanely spicy grilled chicken wings. As I ran, carrying her on my back, she kept mumbling, "Live stream. Cash out password is..." The neon lights of the night market stretched our shadows long, like the crooked ledger entries in Grandma Rose's old account book. While Skylar was ordering takeout from her ICU bed, oxygen mask on, I was cornered in the fire exit by 20 influencers. "Mr. Miller, I'm Foodie Sweetie, 5 million followers across all platforms." The girl in the Lolita dress shoved a selfie stick under my nose. "Let me get an exclusive on the dumpling cart's secret recipe. I guarantee your mall will bounce back." I pushed the ring light off my face. "The secret recipe is Grandma Rose's athlete's foot. No, wait, Grandma Rose's secret spicy oil." Henderson's revenge came faster than an Uber Eats delivery. The next day, a food truck was parked outside the mall, a banner reading "Authentic Miller's Dumplings, established 100 years. The cook looked like a younger version of Grandma Rose. Skylar, leaning on a crutch, went to confront them. She scooped up a spoonful, tasted it. "Black, poor dumplings with 13 spices? We're your ancestors selling chili dogs." The other side calmly produced a contract. The Miller's trademark my dad registered 10 years ago had been bought by Henderson's assistant's great-uncle. The family meeting turned into a culinary showdown. Uncle Gus burst into the conference room, wielding a rolling pin. I had my leg broken by Dad for sneaking offerings, but I never let an outsider steal our family recipe. The CFO filled his PowerPoint with food photos. "Chairman, netizens are calling us the Culinary Avengers, 7 old guys saving Grandpa." My dad slammed his teacup on the floor. "Open chain. Buy up all of Henderson's storefronts across the street." Skylar suddenly pulled back the rug, revealing a battle plan she'd drawn overnight. "Brilliant, old man. We'll do it in 3 steps. First step, Ethan goes to culinary school to learn how to flip skillets." The shareholder agreement in my hand trembled like a sieve. The livestream product launch turned into a massive train wreck. Skylar tied Grandma Rose's floral apron on me. 30 rice cookers were lined up in front of the camera. "Hey folks, this is the heir to the $3 million dumpling cart." She shoved a slotted spoon into my hand. "Order now and get a signed autograph from a chairman." My dad was forced to sign approved for reimbursement on a dumpling wrapper, his face as dark as the bottom of a scorched pot. Suddenly, comments scrolled across the screen. "Cockroach behind the host." Skylar snatched a slipper and slid across the floor. "Hey fam, these are self-bred protein pets. Catch 'em fresh, fried up for 20% off." The live stream instantly shot to the top of the popularity charts. A biology professor commented, asking about a research collaboration. The turning point came on the day of the cooking competition. I was facing Henderson's hired chef for a knife skills challenge when Skylar suddenly handed me a lightsaber. "Use this." Frank modified it. As I shakily chopped green onions, the hilt suddenly sprayed cumin powder, sending 3 food critics into a coughing fit. Henderson jumped up, screaming, "Foul! This is Star Wars." Skylar pulled out a 1953 copy of the American Cookbook. "Which rule says you can't use a lightsaber to cook?" The ambulance came for us a 3rd time. This time, the judges had collective food poisoning. I squatted outside the ER, scrolling through bad reviews. Scam artists using meteorites to fry rice. Skylar, wrapped in a hospital sheet, snuck out. "Idiot, this is free trending." On her phone screen, mall reservations were surging at 30 orders per minute. Late night, the dumpling stand. Grandma Rose taught me how to make real Miller family dumplings. The wrappers so thin in the moonlight you could see fingerprints through them. Your grandpa proposed to me by putting a gold ring in the filling, she said, her gap-toothed smile bright. Later, fixing my tooth cost 2 whole pigs. Skylar suddenly hung upside down from the canopy. Grandma, make me a Bitcoin-filled one. The demolition crew arrived without warning. We were squatting on the curb, eating our victory celebration, when 20 excavators surrounded the mall like a giant dumpling. Henderson held up a demolition notice with an evil grin. Fire code violations. Illegal structure. Skylar suddenly pulled out her flip phone. Hello, housing department? I want to report Henderson Holdings for secretly burying a septic tank. My dad suddenly snatched the phone. At another. Their CEO's, secretary's gray tants, cousins-in-law. I stared at the old man, who had suddenly started reciting our family tree, and finally understood where our family's true calling lay. The day after the mall was sealed, Skylar hung a protest banner on an excavator scoop. Red letters on gold fabric read, "Demolish me, gain 10 pounds." Henderson, wearing a hard hat, came to inspect, almost getting hit on the head by a falling piece of stinky blue cheese. Skylar squatted on the scaffolding, live-streaming. Hey fam, this is what modern-day corporate greed looks like. The comments section instantly filled with justice from above. We moved into the ruins. Frank rigged a tent out of tarp. Skylar's live-stream equipment was hooked up to the emergency power supply. She QR-coded every brick. Scan to hear Ethan tell ghost stories. Donate $200 to unlock chairman's secrets. My dad sat by a broken wall, eating a breakfast burrito, suddenly recognized by a fan. Hey, old man, you look familiar. Aren't you the CEO who signed the dumpling wrapper? The turnaround began with the fire inspection. Dave Chung led his team to put up condemned signs. Skylar suddenly flipped open a manhole cover. Cousin, under here is that love letter you wrote to your middle school crush. While he stood frozen, I grabbed a fire hose and performed an aerial car wash show. The moment the water jet blasted off Henderson's toupee, Skylar's live stream shot into the top 3 local trends. The biology professor arrived, carrying petri dishes. The old man, holding a cockroach specimen, his eyes gleaming. Ms. Chung, this species can resist nuclear radiation. Skylar dumped the specimen into a jar of pickled sauerkraut. Introducing our Apocalypse Survival Kit. Buy instant noodles, get a mutant roach free. I watched, dumbfounded, as the professor wired $8,888 for a franchise fee, his worldview shattered into QR codes. Late night, the desperate counterattack. Skylar pulled a tattered book from a secret compartment in Grandma Rose's dumpling cart. The cover read, "The Art of War, Stirring the Waters." Henderson wants to tear down the building, right? She splashed bubble tea onto the demolition blueprints. We'll paint the load-bearing walls Hermes orange. He won't have the heart to smash them. When 20 delivery drivers charged into the ruins with paint cans, I finally understood what a color revolution meant. The wall demolition turned into an art exhibit. Influencers crowded behind the caution tape, snapping photos of ruin aesthetics. Henderson's hired demolition crew secretly live-streamed, selling sign bricks. Skylar squatted on top of an excavator, yelling into a mic. Hey fam, to the left, it's Cyberpunk Zone. To the right, Renaissance Corner. My dad, wearing a hard hat, collected admission fees. His Venmo notifications rang louder than firecrackers. The turning point came at the height of the victory celebration. We were boiling hot pot using a fire hydrant when Skylar suddenly pointed at the monitor. Look, Henderson's assistant is stuffing cash envelopes into the load-bearing wall. The camera zoomed in. The envelopes bore the Henderson Holdings logo. Dave Chung snatched the walkie-talkie. All right, guys, let's catch them red-handed. 30 code enforcement officers crawling out of the art installations was a sight that would make me laugh for the rest of my life. The ambulance made its 4th appearance. This time, Henderson had a heart attack from pure rage. On the stretcher, as he passed me, he was still cursing, "Your Miller family?" A family tradition of pulling scams. Skylar shoved a flyer into his hand. Mr. Henderson, considering asking for a large sum for a baby? I watched the ambulance speed away and suddenly noticed the fire hydrant grinning in the moonlight. Frank had drawn a ghost face on it. The day after Henderson was hospitalized, Skylar's dumpling stand was jointly sealed by 18 departments, the red tape thicker than Christmas decorations. This is a huge win. She squatted in front of the enforcement vehicle, live streaming. Hey fam, hit that double tap 666. Now performing behind bars tears. On screen, she managed to make the detention center bars look like a movie poster for a behind bars reality show, with my dad's bribe gourmet takeout in the background. The Historical Preservation Society arrived faster than the neighborhood watch. A bald expert, cradling the dumpling cart, trembled all over. This is an artifact donated by the early 20th century Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Skylar chewed bubblegum and blew a big bubble. Expert, look closer. This copper pot is engraved with my grandma's first love's initials. I leaned in. The 3 letters, RJY, were polished to a shine. The expert immediately pulled out fast-acting heart medication. This is history. This is culture. The twist came without warning. Henderson, in a wheelchair, stormed into the Historical Preservation Society. I report, this broken cart was weighed at a junkyard 10 years ago, worth 80 cents. Skylar suddenly pulled out her flip phone and played a recording. Bowls from the Ming Dynasty, basins from the Yuan, none compare to my dumpling soul. Henderson's assistant's voice echoed in the conference room. The experts all stood up and applauded. What a magnificent cultural heritage wrap. We became cultural ambassadors. The investor meeting turned into an antique appraisal show. Skylar encased the cart in bulletproof glass, stuffing LED lights underneath. Ladies and gentlemen, behold, she said, flicking a laser pointer. This patina is 30 years of rendered lard. These cracks are a testament to the digital revolution. The director of tourism and culture shook my dad's hand vigorously. Mr. Miller, your family's heirloom. Spicy ramen recipe? Spirit of tenacious entrepreneurship. Crisis struck on the day of the award ceremony. Skylar insisted on wearing a traditional dress to cook dumplings. Her wide sleeve got caught in a fan, turning the mayor's wig into a bird's nest. The live stream instantly exploded. Holy cow! The mayor's hairline is a QR code. As I rescued the wig with a pot lid, Skylar suddenly yelled, "Scan it fast. It might be a coupon." Henderson upped his dirty tricks. That night, trending topics were all about solid proof of bribery, with a photo of my dad handing a bubble tea to a historical expert. Skylar pulled out a magnifying glass. That bubble tea cup number matches Henderson's company invoice code. She hacked into Henderson's assistant's discount shopping account overnight. Hidden in the shipping addresses were 3 boxes of fake company stamps. The counterattack took place at the farmer's market. We drove the cultural heritage exhibit truck to block Henderson's mansion. Skylar yelled through a megaphone, "Hey neighbors, buying Henderson's stock is worse than buying his maid's diet tea." When security guards charged out, Frank activated the cart's vibration mode. 300 dumpling wrappers scattered like falling petals, each printed with Henderson's tax evasion records. The ambulance was dispatched for the 5th time. This time, the historical expert was overly excited, cradling the wig QR code and insisting on scanning out a historical painting. Skylar squatted at the back of the ambulance, munching on a breakfast burrito. "Ethan, do you think this counts as a work injury?" I looked in the rearview mirror at the paparazzi chasing us and suddenly noticed in the reflection of the cart's glass case, Henderson's butler was secretly taking pictures. The commemorative banner from the Historical Preservation Society hadn't even cooled when Skylar hauled the cart to the front of KFC. Cultural heritage for all. She banged on the copper pot, shouting slogans. Buy fried chicken, get a dumpling free. And don't forget to praise our American heritage. She dressed the white-bearded old man mascot in a theatrical costume, his chicken wings replaced with a folding fan, making him look like a failed artist who'd time-traveled. International disputes arose without warning. On the 3rd day, we received a legal letter claiming we were interfering with normal business using mysterious Eastern power. Skylar folded the subpoena into a paper airplane and shot it at a security camera. Tell him, this is a dimension-reducing attack. Henderson's wheelchair suddenly appeared at the corner of the street. "Ethan, guess who I sold the dumpling recipe to?" Behind him stood a blonde-haired, blue-eyed foreigner, his chest badge reading Tasty Planet Global Executive Chef. The family meeting turned into a culinary showdown. Uncle Gus brandished a rolling pin, ready to purge outsiders. Aunt Martha cradled a jar of sauerkraut, weeping about family traditions. My dad tore up the company bylaws to wrap up some barbecue duck. Skylar kicked open the conference room door. "What's all the fuss about? Come with me to crash their party." Behind her stood 30 breakfast stand owners, donuts as nunchucks, coffee as projectiles, bagels as shields. The showdown of the century took place at the food court. The foreign chef team unveiled molecular gastronomy equipment. Skylar pulled open the dumpling cart's secret compartment. Frank's modified steampunk stove was puffing away. "Round one, broth." The judge had barely said start when Skylar scooped a ladleful and poured it into the opponent's pot. "Try my dishwater." The blonde executive chef took a sip and suddenly burst into a thick southern accent. "Well, I'll be darned, that's mighty flavorful." The reversal began in the second round. They presented blue cheese dumplings. Skylar, in turn, pulled out stinky blue cheese-filled ones. 3 judges vomited. The remaining 2 held oxygen tanks, scoring. This is a clash of Eastern and Western civilizations. Livestream comments scrolled furiously. "Thanks, I hate it, but love to watch." Skylar's mouth was her ultimate weapon. When the opponents showcased 3D printed dumplings, she suddenly jumped onto the table and started rapping. "You play with tech, I play with fire. Ancestral recipes just hit harder." An old judge shakily raised his hand. "Can I take the singing girl home? My grandson needs a tutor." The ambulance made its 6th dazzling appearance. This time, the international judges had collective acute gastroenteritis. Skylar squatted outside the ER, selling merchandise. Limited edition vomit bags signed by the judges themselves. Henderson, in his electric wheelchair, came to provoke, but a cleaner mistook him for trash and wheeled him away. Late night, the desperate counterattack. Skylar hacked into their live stream system, replacing the kitchen feed with a video of Grandma Rose feeding pigs. "Hey fam, the pork they're using isn't even as good as what my Wilbur eats." The foreign CEO issued a statement overnight, his stock plummeting faster than Skylar's morals. The victory celebration led to a major incident. We were boiling hot pot using a fire hydrant when the Historical Preservation Society suddenly called. "Mr. Miller, tests show the cart's paint contains radiation." Skylar's phone rang simultaneously. An international number sent a threatening video. The butler, holding a dumpling wrapper, sneered. "The recipe, or it's World War III." The moment Interpol kicked down the door, Skylar was using a radiation detector on a breakfast burrito. "Mr. Miller, please explain why an artifact's paint contains uranium-235. The blonde female agent's gun pointed at the dumpling cart. Skylar suddenly pulled open a hidden compartment in the cart. "Officer, this is all refined from sriracha bottle caps." 20 empty glass bottles clinked together. The female agent's translator stifled a laugh that sounded like a pig squeal. "We were invited for some fancy tea." English breakfast tea sat on the interrogation room table. Skylar pulled spicy beef jerky from her bra. "Try some authentic American afternoon tea." The female agent stared at the documents stained red with chili oil, finally pulling out her trump card. "The butler is a transnational art trafficker. The dumpling wrapper watermark is a smuggling map." I saw Skylar blindly typing on her phone under the table. She was ordering a bulletproof bra from a discount site. The jailbreak was easier than ordering takeout. Skylar claimed she needed to use the restroom. 5 minutes later, an upbeat pop song blared from the next room. When we rushed over, she was using a plunger to stick herself to the ventilation shaft, crawling along. "Ethan, I found the Wi-Fi password." Surveillance showed she'd turned the detention center cafeteria into a live stream studio, and the prison guards were all dancing along. The final battle took place on the bridge. The butler was trying to escape on a yacht. Skylar activated the dumpling cart's ultimate form, Frank's modified submarine mode. "Hey fam, hit that rocket emoji." Now, performing a hot tub time machine. She wielded a slotted spoon as a steering wheel, the salted fish radar beeping wildly. I clutched Wilbur the piglet as a life raft, suddenly noticing his collar read Experiment 007. The reversal hit harder than a tsunami. When Interpol helicopters surrounded us, Skylar suddenly pulled out a dumpling wrapper. The password is the sriracha ingredient list. The butler shrieked, his yacht crashing into a reef. The female agent opened a sealed jar. Inside was Grandma Rose's spicy oil recipe, which had been studied as a biochemical weapon for 10 years. The victory celebration had an international flair. Skylar walked the red carpet in her bulletproof bra, her champagne flute filled with spicy ramen. The female agent secretly asked her, "That singing toilet, is it for sale?" My dad, signing an agreement with Interpol, suddenly noticed they'd stamped the dumpling wrapper contract with a breakfast burrito-shaped seal. The ambulance made its 7th appearance. This time, the butler was cursing from his hospital bed. Even the mob isn't as ruthless as you Millers. Skylar dripped spicy oil into his forebag. Try some grease pit-flavored foredrip. I looked at Experiment 007, confiscated by customs, and suddenly noticed Wilbur's hoof prints spelled out help. The night Wilbur turned his pig pen into a war zone, Skylar was live-streaming a sale of Sriracha x Miller's spicy oil. "Hey fam, this bottle can double as self-defense." She sprayed spicy oil at the camera. A cockroach 3 feet away immediately started breakdancing. I squatted in the ruins, calling the Agricultural Research Institute. Yes, the pig hoof prints glow, and they come with Morse code. "Expert, don't hang up. I swear I'm not drunk." The biological experts arrived faster than 9/11. White-coated figures surrounded Wilbur, drawing blood. Skylar, holding a selfie stick, narrated, "This is the latest electronic pet. It can produce organic compost." The team leader suddenly shrieked. "Its DNA contains the KFC secret recipe code." Wilbur opportunely let out a fart, and the lab alarms blared like Christmas firecrackers. Henderson, a persistent ghost. The next day, headlines screamed, "Shocker. Miller Group developing bioweapons," with a meme of Skylar spraying a reporter with spicy oil. My dad turned the shareholder meeting into a cooking show. "Now for a vote. All those in favor of counterattacking with stinky blue cheese, raise your hands." Skylar kicked open the door. "No need. Tonight at 8, we live stream the DNA results." The twist happened in the live stream. When the expert announced Wilbur had cloned pig genes, Skylar suddenly pulled back a curtain. 20 fluorescent pink piglets started doing a line dance. Limited release. Smart pigs that can dance. She stuck QR codes on their hooves. Scan to hear Henderson's tax evasion recording. Henderson, in the building across the street, dropped his binoculars. "Is this a business war or a clown show?" Dave Chung brought bad news. When city code enforcement sealed the pig farm, Skylar was teaching Wilbur how to operate an excavator. "This pig has to be destroyed." My cousin's arrest warrant bore a steel stamp. The International Animal Protection Organization is on their way. Skylar suddenly pulled out her flip phone. "Hello, is this the Food Network? I have a pig here that can cook." The escape took place at a hot pot restaurant. We dyed Wilbur panda colors. Skylar painted his hooves with nail polish. "Now you're Yuan, the American-based giant panda." When the server brought out the food, he stared at Wilbur. "This bear, why is it drooling?" His southern accent isn't very good. Skylar shoved a slice of tripe into the server's mouth with a chopstick. When the pursuers arrived, we were doing a line dance. Skylar strapped a Bluetooth speaker to Wilbur's back. A pop song attracted 300 elderly women. The sight of the International Animal Protection Organization losing their shoes was enough to make me laugh for my next life. The ambulance made its 8th dazzling appearance. This time, the animal protection director was dazed by Wilbur's laser hooves. On the stretcher, he clutched Skylar's business card. "You must sign him as a brand ambassador." Skylar shoved a sample bag of pig feed into his pocket. "Remember to leave a 5-star review." The victory celebration uncovered a global mystery. As we munched on sweet potatoes roasted by Wilbur, the Agricultural Research Institute sent an urgent notice. The Martian script in the hoof prints has been deciphered. It's a Martian version of postpartum pig care. Skylar suddenly froze. "Oh crap, I taught him how to scroll TikTok yesterday." In the moonlight, A red glow flashed in Wilbur's pupils. Half a rusted USB drive emerged from the dirt he'd rooted up. While Skylar was using the USB drive to pry open oysters, I was cornered in the condemned house by 30 demolition workers in astronaut suits. Mr. Miller, this is an Interstellar Heritage Protection Notice. The leader held up a gold-edged document. Your ancestral home is on a Martian homestead. I glanced at the QR code in the bottom right corner of the document, which led to a TikTok video, and suddenly remembered the rusted USB drive Wilbur had dug up last night. Grandma Rose's first love went wild. The night Skylar fixed the USB drive, every dog in the neighborhood howled. The projector cast a faded love letter onto the condemned house wall. Dearest Rose, when a revolution succeeds, I'll marry you with 10 pounds of ration coupons. Grandma Rose wiped away tears, pulling out an old fountain pen. He used this very pen to copy an entire medical textbook for me back then. Skylar suddenly jumped up. There's writing on the pen tip. Hidden map of Chicago's historical treasures. The demolition crew became an archaeological team. The next day, 20 excavators were parked outside the condemned house, their fronts adorned with small red flags. Skylar wore Grandma Rose's enamel mug around her neck as a lucky charm. Comrades, below lies wartime moonshine. The astronaut-suited construction workers suddenly ripped off their masks. They were all extras hired by Henderson. One extra's fake mustache was still stuck with double-sided tape. The twist came on a dark and windy night. Following the pen's clue, we dug up a tin box. Inside were stolen National Treasure-grade blue and white porcelain. Skylar was about to live stream when 30 men in black emerged from behind a pile of trash. Give me the goods. The leader's voice sounded familiar. I stole your grandma's first love back then, and now I'll steal. Dave Chang's police siren suddenly blared through the street. Where do you think you're going? Heart thief. The ambulance made its 9th appearance. This time, the leader of the art traffickers had been sprayed in the eyes with Skylar's spicy oil. On the stretcher, he was still yelling, I report, Henderson is laundering money by buying land on Mars. Skylar shoved a flyer into his hand. Remember to look me up for fake IDs after you get out. The victory celebration revealed a shocking secret. As we squatted in the ruins, eating roasted sweet potatoes, the Agricultural Research Institute suddenly called. Mr. Miller, the Martian script in Wilbur's hoofprints is a demolition coordinate. Skylar molded a sweet potato skin into a spaceship. Holy cow, is Henderson trying to demolish us all the way to outer space? Grandma Rose, caressing the fountain pen, suddenly spoke. He said before he disappeared that he would leave his descendants a gold mine. The final battle took place across time and space. Skylar transformed the condemned house into a holographic projection hall, live-streaming First Love Artifact Fantasy Night. When Henderson burst in with his Martian land deed, Grandma Rose suddenly yelled at the camera, Joseph, where's those ration coupons you promised me? The entire scene fell silent. The art trafficker's toupee fell off, revealing a face identical to the one in the faded photograph. Wilbur went berserk again. The moment the piglet crashed into the blue and white porcelain, Skylar slid on her knees, catching the national treasure. Hey fam, this is the latest artifact restoration technique. I looked down and saw microwave safe clearly engraved on the bottom of the porcelain bottle, finally understanding why Henderson wanted to emigrate to Mars. In the moonlight, Wilbur swallowed the USB drive and bolted, and Grandma Rose's old red hair tie floated up from the ruins of the condemned house. While Skylar was soaking Grandma Rose's red hair tie in old balsamic vinegar, I was being chased into the men's restroom by Henderson's hired alien demolition crew. Ethan Miller, your grandma stole my grandpa's keepsake, Henderson yelled, waving a laser cutter. That red hair tie hides gold mine coordinates. I squatted in a stall, texting Skylar my location. The toilet suddenly blared a pop song. The woman had installed a GPS in the sewer system. The ultimate treasure hunt took place at the farmer's market. Skylar drove a water truck, scattering the crowd, Wilbur tied to the front as a radar. When the pig's nose nudged a fish stall, Wilbur suddenly stared intently at the dried salted fish. This is it. She swung a fish-gutting knife, splitting the floorboards. Back then, ration coupons could buy gold. Now, stinky blue cheese can buy a battleship. A rusted tin box emerged from under the tiles. The moment Henderson lunged, Skylar pulled out her hot sauce pepper spray. Try my prized possession. The twist was crazier than any soap opera. Inside the tin box, there were no gold bars, only half a moldy fruitcake and a yellowed marriage certificate. Grandma Rose, leaning on her cane, arrived, trembling. Joseph, you said you'd marry me with 10 pounds of ration coupons. Henderson suddenly knelt, howling. Grandma, I'm sorry. That gold mine map was photoshopped. Skylar shoved the live stream camera in his face. Hey fam, this is what happens when you try to scam a wedding. The ambulance made its 10th and final appearance. This time, Henderson had cried himself to dehydration. Trailing the stretcher were 20 alien extras demanding their pay. Skylar poured bubble tea into his 4-drip. Refills are free. My dad suddenly snatched the microphone. I announce, Miller Group is officially transitioning into the night market economy. Skylar's phone simultaneously chimed. A $5 million reward from the Historical Preservation Society. The notification echoed throughout the venue. The wedding was held in the ruins. I wore Grandma Rose's floral apron as my suit. Skylar's wedding dress was fashioned from $30 worth of tarp. Wilbur, wearing a bow tie, delivered the rings. His hoof slipped, and he swallowed the wedding ring. You may now kiss the bride. Dave Chung had just finished shouting when a convoy of code enforcement vehicles blared their horns 10 times as a salute. Skylar lifted her veil, gnawing on a chicken leg. Just so you know, our kid's nickname has to be Wilbur Plus. The moonlight shone down on piles of money. We squatted by Grandma Rose's dumpling stand, counting cash. Wilbur suddenly nosed out a clay pot. Skylar smashed it open with her high heel. Inside rolled out old-fashioned fruit candy from '78. Sweeter than gold, Grandma Rose said, putting one in my mouth, her missing teeth crunching. Skylar folded the candy wrapper into an airplane and shot it towards the stars. Ethan, next target, Mars Night Market. I looked at the greasy corners of her mouth and suddenly thought being the husband of the queen of the street food scene. Totally worth it.